Good morning, friends, and welcome. This lodge meets every Sunday at 11 a.m. for the discussion of a particular topic. Today's presentation will be on the topic of why gratitude. And next week we'll be discussing the three basic ideas of Theosophy. At 12:30 p.m. every first and third Sunday of the month, we read and discuss selected Theosophical writings. We're currently having roundtable discussions on the Key to Theosophy by H.P. Blavatsky. Although Theosophy contains by derivation the name God, and thus may seem at first sight to embrace religion alone, it does not neglect science. It is the science of sciences, for no science is complete which leaves out any department of nature, whether visible or invisible. Conversely, that religion which, depending solely on an assumed revelation, turns away from things and the laws which govern them, is nothing but a delusion, a foe to progress, and an obstacle in the way of man's advancement towards happiness. Embracing both the scientific and the religious, Theosophy is a scientific religion and a religious science. The United Lodge of Theosophists, or ULT, is an integral part of the Theosophical movement, and as the name implies, it is an association of Theosophists, irrespective of organization, who are bound together by the tie of common aim, purpose, and the teaching in the cause of Theosophy. ULT is guided by its declaration printed on the back of our program, which is here in print and also on our website. The declaration says, "The policy of this lodge is independent devotion to the cause of Theosophy, without professing attachment to any theosophical organization. It is loyal to the great founders of the Theosophical movement, but does not concern itself with dissensions or differences of individual opinion. The work it has on hand and the end it keeps in view are too absorbing and too lofty to leave it the time or inclination to take part in side issues. That work and that end is the dissemination of the fundamental principles of the philosophy of Theosophy, and the exemplification and practice of those principles through a truer realization of the self, a profounder conviction of universal brotherhood. It holds that the unassailable basis for union among Theosophists, wherever and however situated, is similarity of aim, purpose, and teaching, and therefore has neither constitution, bylaws, nor officers, the sole bond between its associates being that basis. And it aims to disseminate this idea among Theosophists in the furtherance of unity. It regards as Theosophists all who are engaged in the true service of humanity, without distinction of race, creed, sex, condition, or organization, and it welcomes to its association all those who are in accord with its declared purposes and who desire to fit themselves, by study and otherwise, to be the better able to help and teach others. The true Theosophist belongs to no cult or sect, yet belongs to each and all." Today's reading is from the Bhagavad Gita. Do thou perform the proper actions. Action is superior to inaction. The journey of thy mortal frame cannot be accomplished by inaction. All actions performed other than as sacrifice unto God make the actor bound by action. Abandon then, O son of Kunti, all selfish motives, and in action perform thy duty for him alone. When in ancient times the Lord of creatures had formed mankind, and at the same time appointed his worship, he spoke and said, "With this worship pray for increase, and let it be for you Kamaduk, the cow of plenty, on which ye shall depend for the accomplishment of all your wishes. With this nourish the gods, that the gods may nourish you, thus mutually nourishing ye shall obtain the highest felicity. The gods being nourished by worship with sacrifice will grant you the enjoyment of your wishes. He who enjoyeth what hath been given unto him by them, and offereth not a portion unto them, is even as a thief. But those who eat not but what is left of the offerings shall be purified of all their transgressions. Those who dress their meats but for themselves eat the bread of sin, being themselves sin incarnate. Beings are nourished by food. Food is produced by rain. Rain comes from sacrifice, and sacrifice is performed by action. Know that the action comes from the Supreme Spirit, who is one, wherefore the all-pervading Spirit is at all times present in the sacrifice. He who, sinfully delighting in the gratification of his passions, doth not cause this wheel, thus already set in motion, to continue revolving, liveth in vain, O son of Pritha. But the man who only taketh delight in the self within, is satisfied with that and content with that alone, hath no selfish interest in action. He hath no interest either in that which is done or that which is not done, and there is not, in all things which have been created, any object on which he may place dependence. Therefore perform thou that which thou hast to do, at all times, unmindful of the event. For the man who doeth that which he hath to do without attachment to the result obtaineth the supreme. And now for today's talk.
Welcome, friends. Today's talk actually follows from the one that we heard last week. As you're aware, the universe is ruled by law. This is the nature's law. The second fundamental proposition of the philosophy of Theosophy, presented to us in the Secret Doctrine, states that cycles come and go. Within cycles, karma and reincarnation is a philosophy that needs to be mostly disseminated to humanity at this time, because it brings responsibility to the forefront and ethical conduct which shows in our everyday living. That ethical conduct is dependent on the moral core of the universe, because our universe is ruled by strict justice. So, under this rule then, whatever it is we have sown, so shall we receive the opposite effect from that. When we conduct ourselves, we are thinking, we're talking, and we're actually acting. So gratitude then has to be in here, because there are beings that conduct themselves for the benefit of humanity without ever asking for anything in return. So the gratitude actually is not just an intellectual understanding of what is owed, but it is also a heart quality as to what gifts we have received. So this is not just a mental process, it is also involving the heart. So what is it that is in action here? We need to think about it. It's Buddhi-Manas. This is a spiritual quality. Buddhi-Manas is a spiritual quality. So, in order to understand the interactive process of Buddhi-Manas, we need to look at our activity. In giving and receiving, there are three component parts that we need to take into consideration. There are those superiors. Superior here is just a categorical expression. It does not mean anything else. This group then is the one bestowing the gift, or they're conducting under duty and they're giving. So they obviously have more of what we need or what we want or what we crave for. For instance, wisdom, power, compassion, devotion, So all these qualities are noble qualities, as you can see. So this group of beings who give the gift have all these powers. And the group that receives it is the inferior group. Again, categorical, nothing else. Does not mean anything else, just categorizing it. So this group is the one that needs help, assistance, this does not mean just the human family. We're talking about the lower kingdoms here as well. So human as well as lower kingdoms. Please, we must always remember the lower kingdoms look up to men for guidance. As we look to the heavens for guidance, all of the lower kingdoms look up to men for guidance. And we must keep that in mind. And the third group then composes equals. I'll put it up here. Here, giving and receiving harmonizes because they're equals. Givers and takers here, or receivers, are equals. So, under this energy system, there is this interactive process that's going on between men to men, men to higher realms, and men to the lower kingdoms as well. So, when we receive gifts or what we need, how do we view that? Is it something that is owed to us, or is it that something is extended without ever wanting anything in return? So if the heart gratitude is there, then the gift and its effect becomes expansive. The effect is expansive. It's warming. So, all of the lives benefit from it. Whatever is inclusive in what is being given, everything is beneficent. This gratitude is beneficent. Well, let's consider the opposite. If there is no gratitude for what is being received, then it's contractive. The quality is contractive. And all of the lives involved are chilled. They're chilled. So the effect is that what has been extended has not done its potential good, because only its form or outer covering is received, but the internal qualities that go with it has not been acknowledged, so it cannot do its expansive work. It's contracted and all of the lives are chilled. What exactly does that mean? What happens to these lives? Remember, our world is made up of elementals. Elementals are points of energy that get energized by men's thought, speech, and activity. In other words, it's our willpower that actually impresses these things onto them. They're points of energy and they are active. They bring about what it is that we want to do. So we need to be beneficent to these lives, because all of life is made up of these lives. These are what they are referred to, and they're elementals. They're elementals. So when these lives become chilled, they're not expansive. There's no benediction in the act. Karmically then, it becomes something that we owe in return because we have contracted them. We're not giving them the impulse to expansiveness. We're contracting them. So, the gift has been received. There's no gratitude, and the heart then grows cold. And we said that this quality is not just an intellectual acceptance of the gift and its acceptance dependent on, in the mind, thankfulness, but that the heart quality of gratitude has to be in it as well. So we need to be very careful about our activity and our thoughts. When Buddhi-Manas is involved, what kind of energy that? We said it's a spiritual. It is a spiritual, but it is also electricity, because Fohat is the spirit of electricity. So Buddhi is Fohat come down. Buddhi-Manas then in action is quiet, it is warm, it is effective, and it goes out and does the work with precision, because Buddhi is the knower here, is wisdom itself. So its activity then expresses that aspect of life. It goes out and gives it a precision-oriented conduct. And it is based on ethics, so it is effective. So then, if that gratitude is not in the heart, a shadow, this coldness of the heart casts a shadow. And it is stated that against that shadow, all of nature protests. All of nature protests. Because that coldness spreads as well. Because we have become contractive and we are affecting all of the lives and everything around us. So in this case then, we have not expressed gratitude. However, the inner divine man is always eager to help, because this eagerness comes from our divine nature, and that eagerness is not always met with the just reward for it. The divine man goes out and wants to help, but sometimes the receiver does not acknowledge the gift, does not accept it in gratitude. And these are the ones that actually affect the blessing that the gift brings. So this ingratitude then has no place in the evolutionary plan that humanity is going through, and it is alien to it. There are some noble souls who are magnanimous enough to be thankful to life itself. These noble souls who are magnanimous are grateful to life. This life, we constantly talk about it. There's only one life. All humanity then partakes in that simple oversoul. We are all fractions of that one life. So here we see that interdependence and brotherhood is at the core of our activity. So if we are grateful to life, this is a general gratitude, is it not? This is general. We're expressing our thanks. What comes into this discussion under general gratitude? Well, we're grateful for the air we breathe, are we not? We're grateful for the sun because it warms not just the environment, but it enables the plants to grow. So we're grateful to the plant life because it energizes us. It gives us essential nutrients, minerals. We're grateful for the animal life. The animals are also beneficent to men. And even the animals that look like really wild and not beneficent come from humanity. It is our passions, our inner qualities that these animals in their wilderness express, like the lions, the tigers, the snakes, they all come from us. HPB writes in The Secret Doctrine that the animals are composed of our leftover materials. So it is our own natures that is being expressed in the animal kingdom. But even they are beneficent because now scientists are finding out that the poison of the snakes can be used beneficently. Poliovirus is being used to eat up tumors in human brains. So they all have beneficent activity. We just need to know how to treat these lives with gratitude. So these general stuff under this title is beneficent. However, unless it becomes a specific, it cannot do its work. Gratitude has to be specific because we're told that help is one-on-one. We cannot help a lot of people perhaps at the same time. We try to, like during tsunamis and calamities, but day-to-day life is specific because we extend it to a particular person. In this article, it expressed itself that unless this specificity is undertaken, gratitude cannot do its expansive work. What is that specific conduct? Well, we see this also in theosophical circles. Many theosophists are exactly what the society itself represents, and they're always finding some excuse for their behavior. Some of them say, well, money is really useful. We're talking about materialism here. Money is useful, and if I had a lot of it, I could go out and help a lot of people. But that is not the quality we are expressing here. We're expressing here sharing of what we have, not what we do not have. Sharing has to come from what we have. We cannot solve our ambitions with these kinds of statements because it has no relevance in any circumstance, especially in the theosophical one. Money is a tool, and we are told that those who have it are custodians of it. We're not supposed to use it for ourselves. We're supposed to use it for all that need it. In the theosophical circles, this diffuse gratitude discounts certain prominent points, such as the student finds it okay to say that public opinion should be paid attention to, and our brotherly consideration of the facts involved should not, in regular circumstances, give any expression to popular prejudice. But when we look at it, it does. and our teachers and their respective teachings in the eyes of the world are lowered, in other words, to the rank of whatever it is that we're discussing at the time. This cannot be. It shows ingratitude. And we said this ingratitude is contractive. It does not allow for the beneficent activity to carry its broadening, warming effect to all that is concerned. In the Theosophical circles, it's the same quality that needs to be expressed, that expansive quality of gratitude. We said it's mental as well as the heart. This is the heart doctrine. Without the heart getting involved, it cannot express itself. Where does it come from? In this case, gratitude is that we realize something has been done for us without ever asking anything in return. And we want to do the same thing. We want to exemplify that same quality that is expressed. Where does it come from? Well, we know where it comes from. It comes from the perfected man. These are noble and holy men. They are human beings just like us, but they have learned to control all their lower aspects, and they act as a channel for the light, and they bring it into the world for us. And this test will come to all Theosophical students. We're going to be tested. Gratitude is going to be tested in us as well. How do they find it? Where is the fire of trial coming from? This fire of trial is going to be in the movement itself. It's among the students themselves. And we know that there are pseudo students in Theosophy as well as real students in Theosophy. So that lodge is going to use the pseudo Theosophies to try the gratitude of the other students in that effort to disseminate the philosophy, true philosophy. It cannot be done any other way. So some of the students are going to face these effects. They're going to be branded as narrow and dogmatic because they stand firm. They will not give in to pressure. They want to disseminate the true and simple philosophy that was sent out. And someday we're going to be expected to look prejudice squarely in the face and defend the teacher and the teachings. And it says that in some of us, extreme sacrifice will be called for. And this is to keep the link unbroken. And we are all going to become aware that we stand alone. Or it seems that way. Are we alone? Not really. But we have to stand alone and protect it. At a tremendous sacrifice someday, we might have to stand and, to keep the line unbroken, defend it. These are rare cases, but it comes. We saw it in R.C., who stood all by himself and re-established the line and kept it going. We owe him a tremendous gratitude for this opportunity in the 21st century. Without him, we would not have had it. So then, gratitude, in the largest sense, is involving whole of life. And it moves the divine human messengers periodically to come out into the world, suffer the rending and tearing of that ungrateful world, so that they can reach those hearts that are open and seeking the truth. Those hearts that are open and seeking the truth. for that then, they suffer tremendous amounts of calamity. It comes all on their head. But they are still concentrated on giving to the world what can be given at the time they come to do their work. So they labor, they speak, and for the 19th century, what they brought out was recorded. But no matter how perfect that recording is, if the gratitude is not there, the spirit of the teacher's words cannot be understood. The vain and self-interested will not get at the truth in those books. Regardless of how perfect the facsimile printing of the material, they will not be able to get at the truth. So gratitude then plays a tremendous amount of real action and its consequences in this regard. And we shall read a little bit and then open it up. It says here, intellectual appreciation of the necessity of the existence of the masters follows by that implication that if knowledge is out in the universe, then there are those who keep it. And we have repeatedly said that the masters are the keepers of this knowledge, and at the right time they give it out wherever they can, to the section that they can give it to under a specific mode of understanding. So if we then find this knowledge, we take it, and gratitude is not there, then we won't understand what it is that it is telling us. And this is not dependent on emotion. Emotion has nothing to do with it. It depends on this. Gratitude is Buddhi in action, a universal quality, and thus spiritual, as we said. It is expression of altruistic service in the work and for masters. Masters are the universal servants of nature, and transmuted gratitude into effective action is calm, controlled, quiet. It is an intelligent force that goes out and removes all difficulties so that the work at hand can be done. The recognition by the student of the existence of the masters and their effort to bring this knowledge out into the world has to be acknowledged. And when the student's heart becomes grateful for that effort that is being put forth on behalf of humanity, only then do we see the real students of Theosophy come forth and work in the world to bring it to currency and dissemination. And also gratitude has to be expressed as to what is going on in each lodge. That work is going on in each lodge, and time is spent, money is spent, effort is spent to keep it open. As we found it, because the predecessors put this effort forth, and we now benefit from it, so in the future it will be dependent on the student body to keep it active and to keep it going. But the warning is this. If gratitude is expressed in all this stuff that we just mentioned, then it is gratitude itself. This is also devotion, because like true gratitude, devotion is not an emotional affair at all. So the student is not seeking to develop a special mode of service which is exclusively his own. He works in the channels provided, which he has seen in his own case were pure and true. Right there in the ranks with his fellows, he works for others, with others. In these relations, every human soul has its own place and importance. This is not a competitive affair. It is an expansive, and all fractions have to get involved according to their ability. No one forces us to get involved. This is an also internal quality, but all fractions have the same value. We all come from the same source, and when we are emancipated, we return to that same force. So this is not a competitive affair. So it's not competitive. We have to learn to work in a unified way and together. Each human soul providing their best quality and making a change in our world. We talked about unity and brotherhood at the beginning of this talk, and we will finish it with the same statement, that all human souls come from the same source. That source is a beneficent source. Its concern is for each human soul. They are all equally considered. One does not have any more value than the other. But humanity developmentally, each human soul is not at the same place. So there are those advanced beings, because they have been in evolution perhaps longer, and there are those that are less advanced. So it becomes imperative that the more advanced help the ones that are less advanced and move them in the same direction. Now we will stop in here and answer questions.
So here in the U.S., Thursday was set aside as a day of Thanksgiving, and we frequently call it Turkey Day or something like that. And this is along the lines of what you're talking about in terms of being grateful for our bounty, for the opportunities that we have to serve.
Your question is that Thanksgiving is in line with this talk, that we show gratitude for all the things we have? That's the question?
Not only things, but the opportunities.
The opportunities provided.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving started actually with the pilgrims, because they came from different parts of Europe, and the settlers in the United States found freedom. Freedom of what? Expression. And the United States was helped in this direction, because without freedom, the mind is boxed in. It cannot express itself. It needs expansive and open permission to do its work. So the pilgrims then came here and found freedom. This freedom eventually is expressing itself in today's society. Well, to whom was this gratitude expressed to? when we came to this continent, the American Indians were already on the land. Did we really show gratitude to them? What have we done to them? Each human soul that we are must think about these issues for themselves, because what we have taken, we have taken. We have taken their lands. We have settled on their lands. Did we recompense them for that privilege that we were extended? Well, this student does not think so, but I'm not here to put forth my own opinion on this platform, so you must all think about it for yourselves. Today's society is that of the 21st century. In the writings, it is expressed that humanity should have grown out of its materialistic tendencies at this time. Materialistic tendencies. When we look at the animal world, for instance, the ant colonies, they only take what they need to survive with. The ant colony only takes, each unit in it only takes what they need from it. We should learn from them. More is not better. The quality of life is not dependent on more. It is dependent on how we use what we have. Aye, that's an age. So it depends on how we use what we have. So, and how many turkeys are slaughtered for Thanksgiving, for instance? And do we really show gratitude like the American Indians did when they caught a buffalo to use it? They considered the buffalo as a sacrifice to themselves because they were going to eat its flesh. And the dance that they performed was to express that gratitude. Do we have such a conduct that expresses the same today? Again, each one has to answer these questions for themselves. Our society is still a very materialistic society. So, those are hints. Yes?
So you said that if the receiver doesn't receive the gift, there's a chilling and a contraction.
Ingratitude.
Right.
If the receiver is not grateful, in other words, for what has been extended towards.
So does that affect both people's karma, the receiver and the...
Of course it does.
And
Not
the person
karmically.
who's giving?
Yeah. Well, the person that is giving has extended it under duty, because it is our duty to help all those who are in need, is it not? So the extension is done by the person who is giving the gift. But the receiver does not express gratitude for it. So all the lives are chilled. The lives involved in that extension are chilled. So the beneficent force did not find the channel to extend itself to the receiver because it was blocked. When the heart quality is not there, gratitude is not there. That heart quality, actually it says, takes all of the knots in the heart and enables it to express compassion in time. That heart quality of gratitude, it opens the heart. It takes all of the knots out of it so that you can express gratitude for the things received, and in time you yourself grow to expression of compassion to all others. So yes, it chills it. All these lives contracts. These lives are there to do our work for us, and we need to make them expansive and beneficent so that the intention of the gift by the receiver is actualized. The intention is to make a difference in the receiver's life. But if the receiver does not show any gratitude, it's just the external material rind that is received. The inner quality did not touch the heart.
It depends on the attitude of the giver too. It's very important. If you're giving with the expectation of something to get in return, or if you're giving out of grudgingly, thinking that your duty to give, and therefore I'm going to put money in the collection plate on Sunday, that's not good either. That's a chill effect.
We
I
said
want to point that out.
the gift was done out of duty. This is
Right.
dharma.
Right.
So what you expressed is correct. That under this, there is no expectation from the other. The gift is expended under duty because it's your obligation to do so, because you want to do it. You don't expect anything in return. Of course, there are those gifts that probably are given grudgingly as well, but that really does not do very much. If you're going to grudge it, then you might as well not do it, because you're doing more harm that way than good. So, it actually says here, since this is, we said, a world that is ruled under strict justice, we might also say, okay, so whatever is reaped by a person, he must have also sown that. So it's just due. But on the other hand, when we see the great ones, they all exemplify gratitude in their lives. So what the head says, that is not, gratitude is not necessary, actually the heart says not so. Because this is a heart quality, we said. Cold logic cannot justify that gratitude. What the head argues, the heart repudiates. So, under karma then, it is true. What we receive is what we have sown. But HPB always says, well, okay, so if you have a cold, you have pneumonia, so we should not help the person with the pneumonia because it came to that person under karma? Obviously not. We all have karma. We all have things that we have done that maybe we are not proud of, but its effect will continue to come back to us, regardless of whether we knew what we were doing or what we were not, or we did not know what we were doing. But under this, it is the duty of each human soul to help the other human soul. So we are here to relieve the suffering of the other. So under here, this duty is performed without nothing being expected in return. HPB gives an example of Father Damon. Who helped the lepers. He was a Belgian priest and helped the lepers in the leper colony. And for 20 years, I believe, he served them with effective service. And at the end, he also contacted it and died from it. And she says, if sainthood could be given, this father would be the one to receive it from her, because his sacrifice was so tremendous for the lepers. This kind of service comes when the inner light is on and you perceive it on the inner side of your nature that it's due to humanity, that we need to pay that debt. We owe a lot to these lives. We owe a lot to everything around us if we don't express gratitude for what we receive. So it's not always that kind of service that we're talking about. Expansiveness comes from saying thank you for what you have just gotten. It comes from a smile sometimes, rather than giving a cross look. Give a nice, a happy, cheerful look. Say thank you, say good morning. All those things count because we are uplifting everything around us and making it beneficent. So it's not always at a great sacrifice that we were, but as we just expressed, that will also come to us in its time. We had talked about, earlier in relation to something else, we had talked about this. There are articles written under Karmic Visions by HPB. And when sometimes illness comes and the external body is no longer a hindrance, and the matrix of the astral, the mold, has weakened its charge because it's electromagnetic, it says that we can perceive things that we were not able to perceive before. And this article is about Frederick III when he was ill. And it describes his experiences. And he says, anon, as the stream of life ebbed low, the physical moorings were loosed. And as the inner sight emerged, he seemed to look directly upon ideas. When do we say these statements? In meditation, the higher self or the higher mind, the divine self, enables the human being to look at on ideas directly. It's a direct perceptive power. So in bold relief, he says, and as if upon a background of radiant light, the words of this letter appeared. This is letter number 11 of Mr. Judge. And as he meditated their import, depth after depth of meaning was plumbed, yet ever remained the intimation that far greater depths remained unsounded. So here, the pure and effulgent Buddhi is at play, is it not? It is enabling the human soul to perceive at that high level. And then came the query, he says to himself in his own mind, what can the disciple give in return for benefits received? Answer came like an admonishment without ears to hear. Quotation, can he not highly resolve to live to benefit mankind? May he not become a beneficent force in nature? Anyone can cultivate the feeling of thankfulness. Just being grateful is a fine thing to do. And it unties the knots of the heart and enables compassion absolute to incarnate. And then the question is, did William Kwan Judge not show that divine compassion when he was here on earth in his last incarnation? And we all agree that he did. So that gratitude actually is constructive, and it raises, it's the only force that it says can raise the lives at this level. Now this level we just talked about is what? Where is the divine mind exemplifying this mode of substance that he was never before come across? It's the Buddhi-Manasic plane, is it not? That's the spiritual plane we're talking about. So he was lifted and he was perceiving on that plane. But normally we are where? On the physical plane. And next to this is the astral plane. And it says here, gratitude is a constructive action. And on this plane, it's the only thing that can raise up the lives, because this is the lowest one that we're on. That force is necessary to raise those lives we talked about. So we are going to give it a warm and expansive force. And raise them to higher levels, not contract them and enable them, make them ineffective, not enable them to work and do their work. Mr. Judge has an article on that. You can all read it for yourself. The cold, we said, kills the heart life. Selfishness deadens to all save the mere outer shell of the gift. So the benefits of the service, its nectar in its core, remains untasted because it was never accepted into the heart. So it cannot be expressed that way. It can be expressed that way. We shall read this as an end to this talk. So the messengers who had come before us in the 19th century and to whom we owe gratitude showed the way, the truth, and the life, and left their legacy for all mankind in their writings. Earnest Theosophists, those who desire a spiritual development above all things and are eager to make Theosophy a living power in their lives, should pause here and reflect. Upon the altar of their hearts, they should make the sacrifice of selfish and uncharitable thoughts and desires, and upon that same altar offer up a devout recognition and appreciation of benefits received. Thank you.
Thank you. Next week's talk is on the 3 basic ideas of Theosophy. If you're in the Washington area, please join us and help us keep this message of truth alive. Thank you.